Hi, I'm Stephen Millstein, one of the owners here at Certified Title and the attorney. I'm sitting here with our Director of Operations, Julia Nolan. Jewel, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time with me today, trying to answer some questions for folks, give them a little bit of knowledge about what we do. I had a transaction the other day. I thought this was fascinating, and it's a great conversation for us. Someone called and they said, I think I want to waive the owner's title insurance policy. And, of course, immediately I was like, oh my God, you're out of your mind. And you try to articulate all of the reasons why the title insurance policy is so incredibly important for the buyer when they're buying this house for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And they get this insurance policy that they pay for once, they have forever. Can you touch on a little bit on the risks that are out there, what the title insurance would cover, and why people really need this coverage when they're buying their house?
I have a million examples. It's hard to pick one off the cuff, just thinking. Like, I know that I have a client of mine. She has the best story ever where years ago, before she was using certified title, she bought a property, and the title company that she bought the property from, they accidentally paid off the wrong mortgage for the seller. They got the wrong mortgage payoff. And she had moved into her home and she had small kids and she was, just making them lunch. And then all of a sudden, someone was knocking on her door telling her that they were foreclosing on the property and she had to get out. And she had been paying her mortgage. So she was like, "What do you mean? I'm paying my mortgage. Everything's on time." Well, it turned out that the title company that did their last transaction didn't pay off the right mortgage on the property. And then that mortgage went into foreclosure. And she was able to find her title policy and put in a title claim and never had to hear about it or worry about it ever again. So, that's a great example. I have so many examples. We had one a couple of years ago where it was a row home in DC, and they had waived the survey. It was a row home, so they didn't really need, like, a big survey on the property, and after the closing, they had realized that the previous owner, when they built the addition onto the deck on the row home, that it encroached on the neighbor's deck somehow, and they were able to put a title claim in for the encroachment, for that and get it covered. Also, depending on the type of policy that you check, right? So there's a standard owner's policy, and then there's also the enhanced owner's policy. We always highly recommend the enhanced, not just because we're trying to make money, but because the enhanced, if you look at the difference of the things that it covers, one of my favorite things that the enhanced policy covers is permit issues. So if permits weren't pulled, if the person that you're buying the house from put a pool in, put a fence in, put a deck in, put an addition on, and it turns out that they didn't pull the proper permits, you can use your title
Wow,
policy to get that covered,
that's amazing.
which I've seen. Yeah. So there's confusion. I just had this conversation this week with another client who said the lender is getting a policy. So why do I need to buy an owner's policy? Because there's going to be insurance that's going to
Yeah,
be
this is a
issued.
great point.
So, and the tricky part on that is that the lender's policy, it only insures the lender. It doesn't insure the buyer. So while, yes, we're doing our due diligence and we're doing everything that I can, there's always unforeseen issues of things that come up. And they would have to force the lender to try to be able to file a claim to get it resolved if something came up. And so it's just really important for the buyer themselves to always have a policy, even if it's a condo, even if you know that the property was just built and it was new construction, because we're running into permit issues. We're running into things where deeds weren't done properly. I have a deal right now where they did a deed from the personal representative of the estate to the individual person, but the PR of the estate was also an heir and should have also signed individually. And so now we have to go back and try to get that person to sign
Wow.
in both capacities because the deed's not valid, and we're able to at least get that fixed for them. But there's things like that where, they're just unforeseen, and the policy just wipes it all. You don't have to. It's amazing. Like, just file a claim and you never have to worry about it again. Like, they just take care of it.
Well, and I'll, even in a more simplistic sense, right? When's the last time you hired a lawyer? Most lawyers today are $400, $500, $600 an hour. And anything that would require litigation would take hours upon hours of work from a lawyer. Title insurance policy might be hundreds, maybe $1,000, and it covers you for the entire time you live in the house. So you would never have to hire a lawyer to pursue a claim. And if that wasn't enough, If at a later date you choose to refinance the mortgage you took out, you actually get a discount on a future loan title insurance policy if you've purchased an owner policy. So it may in part pay itself back to a certain degree. So anyway, just a few reasons why we stress the owner's title insurance policy is critically important. We genuinely recommend it. I bought my house. I got it. Julie bought her house. She got it. We don't just sell it. We believe in this. So anyway, thanks, Jewel. We appreciate the information. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our office and we're happy to give you a little bit more information.